Good evening and welcome back to CB's Book Club. I'm Danielle Neal. Our national lockdown continues, but we all know that we should not allow our brains to go on lockdown as well. Actually, now is the perfect time to dive into some new books since we can take advantage of all the time we now have on our hands. In today's CB Book Club, we're featuring Belizean media personality and author, Mrs. Sharon Marin Lewis. Welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you, and I really appreciate the invitation. I was thinking that I wouldn't be getting any kind of call right now regarding book reading or my work, but I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Let me be the first to say that I like your book so much. I'm one of those people who say that I'm not superstitious, but after reading your book, I'm completely superstitious. I don't put my purse on the ground. I believe that when you dream something, maybe it's possible. And I live with a 89-year-old grandmother, so everything that I dream is bolidoric, basically.
What a thing. I think it happens to a lot of people. They would say they're not superstitious, but then after reading the book, they could say they could relate to certain things. So that's a very common reaction. I myself, like I stated in the book, would say that I wasn't superstitious, but I am definitely influenced by it, like a lot of us.
Definitely so. Miss Sharon, a lot of Belizeans know you from a very popular talk show. But what have you been up to now? What are you doing?
Okay, so since I left that talk show and was doing a bit of news with the firm, I moved on my own and I started my own company branding, the Coffee brand, and this is my brand t-shirt that I'm wearing. Right now I'm working on another book and I was supposed to unveil it in a month's time. I was gonna be attending the very famous and popular Passport DC, where I could showcase my work, and I was definitely gonna take the book that I'm working on now, which I halted when we all heard about this coronavirus, COVID-19, and our world changed quite suddenly. But that's what I've been doing. I've been working on my brand Coffee Life, and I've been working on writing.
Hopefully, as soon as this pandemic comes to a still or at least slow down, you can rejoin that. But Ms. Sharon, you became a star in front of all of us. I was pretty young when I used to see you on the TV. Can you tell us about your journey, though, when it comes to being a writer, being an author?
My journey to becoming a writer really came about because of my desire to see more work on Belize, more writing on Belize, and have our people relate to what they read personally. It's a great feeling to be able to pick up a book and say, wow, I understand what this is about. This is a part of my journey. This is my life. And I wanted to see more of that. So that's really what took me on this journey and why I really started.
How proud are you when you write about Belize and all our culture and the history that we have here?
I'm very proud. Last year, like I said, well, this year like I said earlier, was to be in Washington, D.C. at this event called Passport DC to promote the book that I wrote and the other one that I'm working on. And really, the reaction of, I took the book last year to the event, and the reaction of people who everybody there was not, it's a whole cross culture of people who attend this event, because Passport is basically all the embassies in Washington coming together and having an open house. So when I went out there last year and showcased my book, a lot of people Americans, people from Alaska were there, people from Cambodia, people from all over the world were there, and many of them came to me and they started talking to me about superstition, and they could relate to the book because, like I said, cultures over the centuries have always wanted to explain every single thing that happened. That's just humanity. You want an explanation for everything. So taking it out there, it cemented what I already knew, that our beliefs and our our superstitions, our spiritualism, they're connected as a people, you know. We all have these things that we look at or we lean on to get answers.
Can you tell everyone that's at home watching what this book is about? And can you give us your favorite superstition from this book?
The book really it's broken up into chapters, and it looks at superstition categorized by dreams, by marriage, by life, by death, by birth, and it's really about how Belizeans perceive certain things that they can't explain. The book starts out by talking about my view of superstition and how I realized how influenced I was by superstition. It focuses on the things that we do because we're superstitious. I did share a couple stories in there, but it's not really the folklore caricatures that we hear about, like Catadohente and La Llorona and La Sucia. You know, I listened to one story that my dad had told me, and basically the rest of it focuses on the thing we do because we're superstitious. So, for example, there is this practice that women have when your child is newly born, to put a red ribbon on your hand. That's to ward off evil eyes and things like that. So that falls under superstitions by birth. And then there's this superstition by death. The other day was quite, I don't know, like a strange feeling came over me when I was watching the funeral of one of the fallen VDF soldiers.
Okay.
They did something that I wrote about when it comes to death. They crossed the child
The
over.
baby's over the casket.
I saw that. I was like, wow. I recall that being. I always remember when I had that experience and going to funerals over time and seeing it done. So that's another thing, and I'm pretty sure that with the new generation looking on, they might have more questions, because I don't think we're doing a great job of passing on the reasons why we do these things. So they might see the child being crossed over the coffin and not really be able to understand why.
So now I will talk about two things that go together, like burgers and French fries, or like I would say fries and ice cream. That is what I like. But dreams and Bolido. Dreams and Bolido. Does everybody take that seriously? I know my grandmother has a dream book, and everything that you can possibly dream of, there is a number that you should buy next to it. Is that a serious thing?
It's a very, very serious thing. I really don't know how they put the numbers together. I think that Bolido and Superstition, they have their own book. Like, I would have to write a book on just that. You know, I mean, it's too much. But like, you would have a dream that, like, I remember I had this dream that a baby defecated on me, right? And they said, okay, well, you're supposed to buy number 3. Now, bear in mind, I don't buy Bolido. I don't at all. I guess I know I have a sister that works with the whole idea of talking about it and announcing the numbers and all that. And even think she support Bolido, but she works in that field, you know. She works with that aspect of it. And sometimes people mix way up and ask me about Bolido. I don't gamble and I don't buy Bolido. If you see me to buy Bolido, that's for somebody. But that whole connection with a dream, with an event, and attaching it to a number, that goes way, way, way back, and it has to do with numerology as well, you know. And those are topics that I really am not versed in, but I anybody who has been living in Belize and not been living under a rock know that Belizeans take their Bolido very seriously. Seeing that it's been cancelled for the COVID-19 crisis or pandemic, we saw the reactions, right? So
definitely, there's a lot of people upset.
Very seriously.
A lot of
but
upset.
The correlation between buying a number and deciding, okay, this and that goes together, I really haven't done the research on that. I started, But I tell you that I want book by so.
So what was it like getting a book published and getting it on Amazon? Because that is a big deal.
That was very exciting. I'd like to share my journey, especially in that because I think that one of the reasons why we don't see a lot of writings here in Belize being promoted is because, well, recently we've seen more writers coming out, but it's really a labor of love oftentimes. And so when I got it published on Amazon, it was a great feat because before approaching Amazon about it, I had contacted um, publishers here in Belize, but I realized that there was a lot of stumbling blocks to get it done, and I was certain that I would get it done under. It didn't matter under whatever circumstances I would publish my book. When I got the message in my email saying that my book was being reviewed for publication, I told my husband, and it said that they would get back to me in 24 hours or 72 hours. But by the next day when I checked my email, like a few hours later, it said that my book had been published, and I really couldn't believe it. So I called one of my friends, Karen, and I asked her if she could buy the book. I called another friend, Miss Ida Arzu. I asked her if she could buy the book online because I didn't have hard copies, but I wanted to know. I couldn't believe it was published then. That's really what it was.
That's
So they
crazy.
went ahead and they bought the book. And then I checked my account and I saw that Amazon showed me that my royalties were on a dashboard. And I said, wow, this thing really works, you know? And I posted it on Facebook and people just started buying the book. Especially, I have to thank the people in the diaspora, especially. And I thank the people in Belize who bought it because they actually pushed my status to #1 in that category.
We are definitely proud of you for your
Thank you.
venture that you've done. And can you leave us with recommending a Belizean-based book for CB Book Club?
I'd recommend this book. I haven't been able to buy it. I was about to buy it, but it's by Miss Ivory Kelly, and it's called Pengerang. There's also this book by Mr. Lawrence Vernon. He wrote a book on Monrad Medicine. And Monrad Medicine is the person who is responsible for the cross country that we see today and that whole story. Now, I haven't read the book, but I know a lot of the history. And the reason why this man looked at cross country wasn't because he was that much of an avid sports fan. He was really into agriculture and wanted to see more planting, more industry as far as agriculture was concerned. But we didn't have the roads. So to encourage the government to build the roads, we came up with this idea, well, we are going to do a bike race, and to do a bike race, we need the roads. And so that push was made to build the roads in Belize and push them as far as Kaya, because as you are aware, well, you may be aware, let me not say that you are aware, as many people are aware, the roads were eventually built. When you hear about the first cross country, it took several days for them to complete it, right? But with Mr. Medson's push, the government and the people behind cross country, they really pushed to get the roads built, and it did what he wanted it to do, open the road for agriculture. We had the agriculture and trade show, which came as a result of that. You know what I mean? So that book is really great, and I hope that it's in the school. It's being used or considered for the school. Just like I hope that they consider my book, Superstition, a Belizean Snapshot.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Sharon. Thanks for leaving us with history, and thanks for preserving some of our own history in your book. I hope you don't abandon our book club army that we're slowly building over here. And take care and continue to be safe.
Thank you very much. You can get the books from me if you're in quarantine and you want something to read with, interesting, funny, humorous. It's not scary, because some people think it is. You can hit me up on WhatsApp at 6680502, or also on Facebook. You can send me a message and we could arrange for you to get the book. Thank you to Colorblind Multimedia for this opportunity as well. You guys keep pushing and going during this epidemic, this pandemic, and it's really a good thing for us to be able to have our own content to watch and to share. Thank you.
Thank you too, Ms. Sharon. If you're at home right now and are already running out of ideas to keep your children occupied, why not read with them? Superstition, a Belizean snapshot written by Mrs. Sharon Marin Lewis, has an abundance of Belizean folklore that you can pass on. It will contribute to cultural retention and at least a half hour of quietness in your house. Win-win, right? Well, thanks once again for tuning in to CB's Book Club. Remember, we have an open invitation for any Belizean author who wishes to join us. Just send us an email to info@colorblind.bz and someone will reach out to you. Until we see you again, bye, keep reading.